stream today. Welcome aboard, everybody. It's Bartman3010 by himself. And we're going to look at the Sega Genesis Classic Collection Gold Edition on PC. As you'll see on this black screen in just a second. Hopefully. There it goes. Alright, so what's special about this is that this is a retail edition that you can easily find at like a half-price books or something like that, because the PC collections are obviously not going to sell for a lot of money, considering that, you know, they've released all these Genesis games over and over again, but now you got 46 on one disc. The only problem with this collection is that if you go on Steam, you'll notice that there is a 5th volume, which this one doesn't have, which means you're not going to get the second Vector Man, none of the Fantasy Stars, and you're not going to get Beyond Oasis, which really kind of sucks, because otherwise this is a pretty decent collection if you really, really have to get your Genesis games on here. But it's pretty... but while it makes up for itself in quantity, unfortunately, I'd probably say the quality is not nearly as good as it should be, especially since it just gives you some pretty basic features of like filter enhancements like TV scan lines and blur out your pixels if you're insane enough to do that. You could also, but the problem I have is that since it gives you the option to do VSync, it doesn't match the correct frame rate that a Genesis game should play at on a television. So if you enable VSync, you're gonna start running into a lot of like input lag, no matter what you try and do. But it does give you a decent set of options. You know, like aspect ratio, you can stretch to the fullest dimensions of your screen if you want to. You can also use like Xbox 360 gamepads, like it'll correctly detect hat, switch, and joysticks correctly. But other than that, it kind of separates all the games into these different volumes, kind of like how they did on Steam. But if you want to like sift through each different game, you have to go back to the main menu, go through each collection, and see which game you'd want to play. As you can see, like with each successive one, they give you like each additional Sonic game. Sonic, like Volume 3 gives you Sonic 3, and then 3D Blast is in Volume 4. It's also kind of ironic. This is probably cheaper to get than getting the games individually on Steam. Like, I don't think I paid more than like maybe $7 or $8 for this collection, when it's like $7.50 per package on Steam right now. And even during a sale, like a massive Steam sale or whatever, you're still not really going to beat out this kind of deal, which is kind of funny. Let's see, I think since it's still the Streets of Rage week, and it's Friday, I'm going to play some Streets of Rage 2, since Corey and George have already played through, I think, the first game together. And if they didn't, I apologize, because I have been out and about these past few weeks, because life has been busy. I also chose to play the Genesis collection because I can't get my Genesis hooked up right now. Besides, it's Genesis 3. Actually, I think they did play Streets of Rage 2. Oh well, watch it again. By myself. This is probably the Streets of Rage game I'd definitely go to if I really want to play any kind of Streets of Rage game. Because I never really owned Streets of Rage 3. Even though some people apparently think that's like the better game of the three in the series. Some, although most will say that 2 is the best one. Fortunate for me, I think the first time I played Streets of Rage 2 was on the Sega Smash Pack collection on Dreamcast, which, yeah, that didn't turn out so well. Missed. By the way, of course, I got the chat open if anybody wants to say anything, or if they want to take a look at any specific games on the collection. Wow, I just burrowed that pipe into that guy's body. I think one of the problems I have is that I'm so used to how, like, Streets of Rage Remake works, because it's so easy to just cancel your punches into your grand upper combo, because I always play as Axel. Although they might have changed that at a later revision, since I haven't played the most recent version of the remake. Oh no, I'm stuck. Oh no, am I really stuck here? Oh no, I'm really stuck. Okay, it's the sign. Not this time, sign. I did play Streets of Rage 3 briefly, because I know that if you double tap left or right, it'll also make your character run. But not in this one. Normally I'd probably go for somebody like Max, since I have played quite a bit of Final Fight. And I'm actually used to playing as Mike Hager, where you just grapple everybody and just kind of German suplex them all over the place. But I never found Max nearly as satisfying as Mike Haggard. Hello, little bro. It's also unfortunate that for these collections, you're obviously never going to see, like, the Japanese version of, like, Streets of Rage 3 on these collections, since their main goal is to I mean, when it comes to making these collections, they only go by with whatever Sega currently has the rights to. And it's probably going to be cheaper to just license out, like, US versions of these games. Also, curiously enough, when you go to the installer for this game, it's called the Sega Mega Drive Collection Gold Edition, since they chose to go to be as lazy as possible when it comes to putting out these collections. Since I believe that was around the time that this collection came out on disc, was probably around the time that Sega has relegated its European branch to all physical goods manufacturing. So, oh. Yeah, there's also an A button to use as a special, but I don't really use it as often in Streets of Rage 2. Ah. Not quite the special one to use, but whatever. Now, hopefully, I'm actually going to be able to finish this this game, because when I play Streets of Rage 1, I can only get to like the last stage, and then lose miserably. Ah. I don't know why for some reason I find it funny that you can punch these guys off of bikes and it clearly kills them, because if you realistically try to jump off of a moving bike, you are very likely to die. The only reason these guys die so quickly is because their health is super low. Ah. Oh wow, I had no idea that Canada used both Genesis and Mega Drive. They probably did that because they just had Sega of America do distribution for all of its goods in Canada. And it's just way cheaper to just use the same distribution center if it's really not that far from one to the other, you know? And they probably also didn't have that legal issue that the Mega Drive had in America. Oh god. So if people recall, I did that article for the Retron 5 that is supposed to come out next month, but I'm starting to see reports that apparently it's not going to be able to make its April release date. Although I haven't really put anything up on the site saying that, because there hasn't really been an official statement that had come out. Also, look at this. Can't punch these guys in the background, but they'll come and attack us eventually. Gotta be courteous to our crooks. Oh, here we go. I can't hear what I sound like when it comes out of this microphone, so... But, if you guys hear, like, a bunch of, like, button clicking going on, I apologize. I'm having to use a old Sega Saturn pad, since it's, like, the only good Genesis layout controller that I can make use of on PC. And they're rattly and old. Also, getting back to the Retron 5, I'm still, like, if I were to personally choose whether or not to buy one, I'm still not entirely sure if I would like to get it. If I were to get one, it'd probably be for NES games, since I don't have an NES anymore. But what is nice is that it can output all your games through HDMI, and the games look pretty dang good. But as I also mentioned in the article, that there is some performance issues on certain games, like Yoshi's Island will not play at a stable frame rate for whatever reason. Oh, it's my least favorite boss, so let's see how this goes. Yeah, now I definitely recall that Corey and George have played through this game, because I think I recall them going through this boss. They probably share the same feelings I do for Jet here. Because it's an annoying fight, because he flies around in the air a lot, and the only real way to attack him is to do, like, hitting him out of the air, which immediately knocks him down, but because of that, you're chipping away very little of his health. And landing a like that, something like that, is really hard to do. Ah. And then you waste your special move like that. Ah. Also, the one real problem I have with the Retron 5 is that the stock controller it comes with, the wireless one, is really terrible. Because it tries to have like a clicky control pad like the Neo Geo AES. Ugh. And it just feels so bad. Like, it felt like really loose, and it's probably because either like there was a lot of people at the convention that was playing it, and they had like a lot of wear and tear on it, or it's just really bad. Like, it felt like just so super loose. And that's not something you want when you want to play like a fighting game, like they were demonstrating with like Mortal Kombat 2? No, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 on the Super Nintendo. Like, they had a handful of games that you could actually try out at the event, and the only Genesis game they had was actually the Mega Drive version of Mega Bomberman. They didn't have anything else. They had just like Mega Man X, Yoshi's Island. I'm trying to remember. I think like some Ninja Turtles beat 'em up for the NES, and they didn't have like the one thing that I really wanted to see was like Game Boy Advance compatibility. Because I've barely seen any footage of the Retron 5 running at any Game Boy games whatsoever. Although apparently it seemed to have run it fine, and they had Final Fantasy Tactics up for demonstration on Sunday at South by Southwest, but I didn't have a chance to take a look at it. They just posted photos on their Facebook page, and it looked like Final Fantasy Tactics. That's about as much as I can say. But it did stretch the image to the entire screen, which was actually kind of crazy to me, since I'm so used to playing Game Boy Advance games on the Game Boy player. And that'll be a real issue if the Retron 5 doesn't have, like, display resolutions for similar to the Game Boy player on the Retron 5, because if they don't, it's going to make some games really hard to play, because you need to have a screen size that is small enough to be able to see everything around you. Because trying to look at, like, be situationally aware on a handheld game on, like, a 40-inch television is not the best way to play some of those games. Like, just as a example that probably won't make a whole lot of sense is like Mickey Speedway USA on Game Boy Color. You need to be able to see the entire screen because you have very little time to react to what's going to happen. And you know what? I should have asked them if they were gonna do anything for Game Gear support, but I had never really bothered to ask because there's not really a slot to play Game Gear games on the system, and if you want to play Master games on that thing, you need a power base converter or some other Master System adapter that'll plug into your Genesis port. Kind of silly, especially since power base converters aren't exactly easy to come by anymore. It's really nice how Streets of Rage is very flexible at giving you as much control as possible, especially compared to like playing an arcade game. If you'll punch and press jump, you'll backhand guys that way, so you'll not only knock them down, it'll shake them off of you very quickly. And, oh god, one problem that you'll run into when playing these games is that you will be surrounded, especially when playing by yourself. So you need stuff like that. And failing that, you still have your special maneuver, like that I poorly demonstrated. That'll get you out of a fix very quickly. But yeah, just like some other weird issues I have with the Retron 5 is just... You think they would be like the smallest things. Oh god. But, like, they just, like, make, like, a huge difference as to whether or not it'll actually be worthwhile owning the system. Apparently, I read up that you can do 4-player multiplayer between different controllers, because the Retron 5 has 6 controller ports, which is like 2 for the NES, 2 for Super Nintendo, and 2 for Genesis. And normally, the ports are going to be on like the left and right hand side, representing like player 1 and player 2. But since you can use like Super Nintendo controllers on your Genesis and vice versa and whatnot, it kind of makes it possible so that you can connect like 6 controllers to the machine. So you can do like 4-player Mega Bomberman or 4-player Tiny Toons Acme All-Star Sports or whatever it's called. Oh god, I barely remember this boss, but I'm starting to get like bad memories. And of course, if you can immediately do 4-player if you do 4 of those controllers, like one that comes with, you know, the one wireless controller that comes with the system, but you can also like buy separate ones outside of that. It's just too bad that it just feels like crap. Otherwise, I would wholeheartedly recommend just go buy the Retron 5 as soon as you can find it, because apparently it's also going to be in short supply. But what really makes up the system for me is just how... oh god. What makes up for me is like all the emulator features that you would kind of come to expect from like Sega Fusion or whatever that you can get on your PC. But the problem with the PC is that you can hook up like any controller to your computer and just get it to work flawlessly. Oh god. I've been kind of spoiled with, you know, how Taxman and Stealth have released those Sonic 1 and 2 ports that actually has, like, enhanced FN synthesis sound. And I'm surprised that there hasn't really been, like, even unofficial Genesis emulators don't really have the option to do that. Unless there has been one, then I haven't really been paying attention. Ugh. There we go. Oh, wow. I'm actually surprised that this menu is actually popping up, because when I was trying to test this out earlier, this emulator menu would not pop up for me correctly. And there's some weird things that I'm going to show off in just a moment. Oh yeah, one more thing about the Retron 5 is that you can't plug in any other controller to that thing. It has one USB port, but it's dedicated more as a charger for for at least one wireless controller. But you can't hook... they've already officially stated there is no official support for USB controllers. It's like Boo. Oh yeah, that's another weird caveat of Streets of Rage Remake. When you're grabbing somebody and you're attacking them, you can still attack other enemies, unlike in Streets of Rage 2, where you only affect one. Although I wonder if that's because I was playing on like a lower difficulty setting? Because otherwise that's really strange. But useful. Ah. Of course, if you guys have any other question about the Retron 5, I can try and answer them the best as I can. There has been one other thing about the Hyperkin, the manufacturers of the Retron line of consoles. Apparently, they're going to have something for the Nintendo 64 come this E3, which probably means they're excuse me. Probably means they're finally going to have like a Nintendo 64 clone console, which is going to be pretty crazy, especially considering that it's so hard to get Nintendo 64 emulation right. Like, I still think you can't emulate Donkey Kong 64 correctly. But what they're probably going to do is they're going to make use of like Android emulators with a cartridge reader for your 64 games, and then you'll be able to play 64 games that way. Although, saying that, it would actually be kind of nice if they started making like disc-based emulators, which would probably mean that we'd probably finally be able to see like Dreamcast clone consoles, or you know, because like there's at least a really good Android emulator for Dreamcast at the current, you know, that's currently out now, free to use. Like, that would be pretty nice. HDMI output for all your Dreamcast games. Whoops. Although it probably wouldn't be able to make use of, like, any broadband adapter-enabled games, so you're not going to be doing your Quake 3 shenanigans. I like this baseball stadium stage. Like this one, and I think stage 2, where you have where you're in that park, just look phenomenal on the Genesis. It also looks so nice that you have these huge sprites that really look like you're actually playing an arcade game, especially considering that Streets of Rage 1 had those pretty tiny characters running at like 30 frames a second or whatever. Oh god. Metal Mario. I'm sorry, Metal M, whatever. Of course, if Retron 5 were to make a disc-based console, I'd really like to see some Saturn emulation, because we need to find a way to get, like, Sega Saturn, like, just back up and running amongst collectors. Ah. Oh, man. Of course, the problem with like Saturn emulation, or you know, Saturn clone console, is that it's not nearly as popular as like any other Sega console outside of Japan. So, really, the only die-hard enthusiast of a collector would really dig in that kind of stuff. It also doesn't help that a lot of the good Saturn games are like really hard to find. Otherwise, you're getting a bunch of like inferior PlayStation ports. And also, digital Saturn controller, way better than a digital PlayStation controller. Thanks to this amazing D-pad that I'm making use of right now. The 3D analog pad, on the other hand, I don't know. Let's see. You know, I don't really have any, like, specific Genesis memories that I can really recall from, except for, like, I actually ran into some childhood friends of mine not too long ago. Actually, well, it was last year. That's quite a time. I haven't seen them in like maybe 20 years, but I actually influenced them to get into video games, and of course, a big thing between like the three of us, they were both sisters, by the way, we were all big into, like, Sonic the Hedgehog. And now that I've finally met up with them after all these years, they're parents now. And, at least one of their kids, I mean, they're still into Sonic themselves, which is really surprising, but now, at least one of their kids is, like, big into Sonic, like, really big into Sonic the Hedgehog, which is pretty crazy. Oh, and I should probably clarify about the Saturn pad, is, I'm using the good one, not the first edition American pad. Oh, yeah, this boss. This is another boss I don't really like. Because of that. If this was an arcade game, that kind of move would be a gimmick developers would use to suck quarters out of you. So, yeah. Because he's so good at grappling you. And then he'll do that. He'll immediately spike you out of a good attack pattern. Like if you go play the Simpsons arcade game, if you fight the first boss, you'll be able to get 3 shots in, like 3 hits, and then like after the 3rd hit, the boss just gets a free shot at you for like no reason. Ugh. So yeah, you could just keep drop kicking him like this, but the problem with that is, again, it shifts away your health very slowly, or his health rather, and as a result, you're gonna run out of time. But yeah, back to the childhood friends briefly, is like they were very, very amused. My friends from years ago were very amused that I can literally destroy any Sonic the Hedgehog game from 1990 to 94 or whatever. And I may try to do that right after Streets of Rage 2. Depends on my luck with this wrestler. Oh, cheap hits again. Oh boy. Boo! But yeah, my friends are also doing really well. And that's good to know, especially since I have not seen them in forever. Fantastic soundtrack by Yuzo Koshiro. Like, I don't really have a whole lot to say, but about Streets of Rage, since I don't really play the Rage games that much. You know, they're arcade games. You know, you don't really spend a whole lot of time with games of this type. Yeah, I think this is a remix from Streets of Rage 1. Like, I think this is the Streets level. Well, they're all Streets. Well, Stage 2 in particular, I think. Hey, who likes chipping away at health? I do. Ugh. Otherwise, that happens. There we go. Oh yeah, I guess I could show that off. Check this out. You can do save states in this collection too, but the weird thing is, when you save your slot, the game's in progress. Well, not really. So it shows that I got a game over. But that's if I choose not to move when I reload the state. Because otherwise it just does that. Like, look. Hacha! Look at! Oh no, Axel died because he was too stupid to move by himself. Like, that's really weird about this collection. Like, that's maybe like the one thing that's kind of unique. That it has this really awkward save state system. Ah! I hope I can find some floor turkey soon. Oh no. I didn't mean to skip past those boxes. Oh well. Oh. Oh, I should have picked someone else. Oh well. Get off me! I think it's a TIE fighter? T-H-A-I fighter. And the shorts there. Or is it thigh? Is that how you... I'm not sure how you pronounce that correctly, anyway. I swear I'm a master of the English language. Ah! Take that, Wayne. This is when you can tell that I don't have a whole lot to talk about this game. Now I'm talking at the game. Except, I can yell at the game when it's throwing bosses I don't like at me. There's always that. In fact, we may be in a bad situation where, I may not be able to progress further in this game anymore if, I see more of those guys. This is also the point where I don't really remember much about this game, because I think I rarely get past this part. I may have beaten the game once. That's about it. I remember these guys that throw grenades at you. Ah! I guess it makes it pretty obvious that Koshiro was basically the guy who did all the sound engineering, so he's using like sound effects he would use for songs are now appearing as quips from the characters. It's also a shame this collection doesn't have Beyond Oasis, because he also worked on that, and you'll hear a lot of really similar sound effects from Streets of Rage and Beyond Oasis. Which is also doubly ironic, because that was basically Sega's answer to Aladdin on Genesis, because it had like really elaborate animation. Ah! But it was also like an adventure game, in a similar vein to Zelda, but had a little more Sega's trademark arcade ties to the gameplay. And by that, I mean, you know, it gives you a story, but really it just kind of gives priority to like how it's limited gameplay puzzles, where most of it mostly just amounted to like stepping on switches or killing X amount of bad guys in this room or that room. Not quite as elaborate as you would find in like a Zelda game or something like that. Oh yeah, I remember this guy. And I also don't like fighting him. It's like a Punch-Out boss. Bear hugger. Look at him, he looks like Bear Hugger. Ah! My sword. Ah. I'm trying to get him to do a special where, he just wails on the guy. Oh! I'm about to lose a continue again. So this probably means that my game's not gonna last that much longer. But yeah, not really much else going on Sonic or Sega-wise lately. I mean, obviously Sonic Boom kind of came and went, but we're not going to be seeing that until a little while longer. And I barely looked over the news for the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, but apparently it's also going to have, like, a storyline dedicated towards, like, older viewers. I hope that doesn't mean that Eddie LeBron made his way into, working on that movie. Also, I like that about that ninja. He will circle around you. Like, that's what his AI is designed to do, unlike most others who, will try to flank you. It's really funny. But yeah, you may be able to tell I was not a fan of Eddie LeBron's... excuse me. I wasn't a fan of his... Sorry about that. I have a bit of a cough lately. I didn't really like the live-action movie that he put out. And he obviously put out a spec film to kind of get Sega interested in making a movie, and I hope that's not what they were interested in. Hopefully it's more like, hey, it's the Sonic Boom movie, it's just geared towards older audiences. Although that still wouldn't really make sense. Although it did have like its list of writers is like Brad Bird is like high on the list, which I think is kind of funny. But at least Brad Bird is a very fine film director. Of course, Incredibles was a great movie. Iron Giant was a lot of fun. Although I don't know what he could do for Sonic the Hedgehog. It also kind of weirds me out that they would get like Hollywood writers to do a film based on a video game character, because what they're probably going to do is make it adaptable for a movie-going audience so that people who aren't into video games can easily get into it. But then you'd probably get into a situation like the Super Mario Brothers movie, written by good old poor Harold Ramis, who obviously our good old friend Egon, who passed away, worked on that friggin' movie, and he did not like it. But as you can tell, it was a pain in the ass to adapt the Mario Brothers into a movie format. Like, the way you write a movie is completely different to a video game, and the reason why that kind of tidbit came up about Harold Ramis working on the Mario movie is that he also wrote for the Ghostbusters video game that was made by Terminal Reality. And, you know, like, the presentation is completely different since the player is the one who is basically directing the game as it flows. And of course, you also have to write in, like, here's how you play the game. You hit this button to punch. Don't cross the streams, Axel. Blah, blah, blah. Of course, the writing for this game is punch dudes. And ladies. Sometimes ladies. And then write for Mr. X at the end saying, would you like to be my subordinate? Yes or no? Somebody had to write that yes or no. Oh. Yeah, I think this is usually around the time that I quit the game, because I never make it past this part. Because these ladies are very good at flanking you when you're surrounded by all these other guys. Alright, that's both of them. As Linobro pointed out in the chat, he considers the Ghostbusters video game Ghostbusters 3. It pretty much is. I think it was actually supposed to be Ghostbusters 3 at one point, but they just kind of repurposed it for a video game. And, I think they were talking about plans on making a real, actual third Ghostbusters movie, but now that they lost one of the Ghostbusters, that's going to be a whole lot harder. Plus, I don't think you can really find any actors that are as charismatic as, like, Dan Aykroyd or Bill Murray. The black guy. I can't remember his name, I'm sorry. Oh, Jet, I hate you. I think that's the last level in the background right there. But you get two annoying bosses in one screen. Oh, I'm sorry, it's stealth. Hey, wait, I just killed one of them. Oh, bro says that filming for Arnie Hudson, thank you so much. He also, Little Bro, also notes that the filming is probably going to start in 2015. That's probably going to be the case, but like I said, I just don't really... Maybe it's also partially because I don't really watch movies much, but... Is there really gonna... Like, I don't really find any current actors nearly as charismatic as some of the, you know, the ones that were, like, in the 80s and 90s. Like, there's not really any John Candys that I can really think of. There's not really any of Bill Murray's or Dan Aykroyd's that I can really think of. The only things I can think of that are, like, popular are, like, actors like Michael Cera, which I think are kind of crap. Just like, they just... Like, most of them are just like, you know, the Sylvester Stallones, or your, not really Schwarzenegger, but like, not Vin Diesel, well, not really Vin Diesel, but like, Stallone, what's that one I'm trying to think of? Van Damme is the one I'm thinking of. Like, they're probably kind of trying to be more like that, since, a lot of movies, if they're not going to be, like, based off of, like, romance novels, they're just, special effects showcases, or heavy on action sequences. So you just get a lot of really flat actors that are just kind of known to do, like, one specific thing. Like, what is the one thing that I remember more about, like, the Spider-Man movies? Like, the guy who directed Army of Darkness, like, his kind. Like, I clearly remember Bruce Campbell more so than, Tobey Maguire. Because Tobey Maguire sucks. Oh man, Vin Diesel is Donovan in a Streets of Rage movie, says Corey. I don't know. That probably would work, although my knowledge... Yeah, Sam Raimi. I don't know why I wasn't thinking of his name, I'm so sorry. I am not a movie expert, unfortunately, so I only know very few actors, because I mostly study, like... Not study, but I mostly remember, like, cartoon and video game actors, because that was something I was actually kind of looking into as a potential career choice. I was doing part of it. The reason is outside of, like, you know, journalism, which has kind of a social aspect to it. I wanted to do like cartoon voices and do stuff for video games. Because a lot of people say that I have a radio voice. I think that was partially because I was doing like a video production class, and that's where a lot of my stuff for video came from in like high school. I think I kind of shied away from doing stuff like that, especially for like one other thing I was thinking of doing was like doing like a video series on video games, but don't really know what else I'd like to see in YouTube form or whatever. This guy sucks. Come on. That wasn't the special I wanted. That's not it either. That's not it. That's the one I wanted. Now do that. Oh god. Oh, I hope I can do it. No, they're all flanking me now. This sucks. Yep, this isn't gonna end well. Come on. I'm gonna be really sad if I don't actually finish this game, because I think we're getting close to the end here. And I'm about to lose my last life on this continue. Come on. Oh, hey. Crap. I think I really got into the Streets of Rage games when I was... Let's go for broke, why not? Ugh. Sorry, this is not going well at all. Which is why I'm kind of being quiet now. Oh yeah, these guys blocked. I forgot about that. Because it's funny, because you can't... Oh, okay. Yeah, what I would like to do with, like, Mike Hagger is, like, jump in the air and pile drive. This is not a Japanese game at all. Oh, what? Apparently speedrun with a sliding attack. This one. Oh, not that one. Ugh. You probably can. I'm just not too used to playing as Max, so this could end poorly. That's weird. They're probably being hit against a wall that you can't see. So that's probably why they're in my trajectory. And enemies aren't allowed to attack off screen, at least for the most part. So that's why I'm not getting hit. Maybe we will get to the end of the game by cheating my way through. Awesome. I wasn't paying attention. Am I on the last life for player 1? Because I don't remember if there's continues separate for each player. Oh. Hmm. Yeah, they don't want to get grabbed. Oh, oh, haha, that's pretty good. He kind of got grabbed, but not really. Ah, come on. What? Well, at least I got an extra life out of that. Sure would have been nice if I could have gotten those lives on those other lives that I lost. Or other continues, rather. Since your score resets every time you use continue. Ah, come on. Get in my general vicinity. Yeah, this is boring. Huh. Alright, that's that. Oh, I got an extra life too. Again. Yeah, I think this is the last stage, because it's pretty similar to how Streets of Rage 1 ended. You just got a bunch of, a giant gauntlet of enemies you gotta sift through before the end. Oh. This ain't gonna end well, is it? Hmm. Bear Jr. Bear Hugger! That knife does very little, way too little bit of damage than what I'd like. Indeed, Max. No kangaroo to play as. As I wanted to try and mention earlier, I think I really got into Streets of Rage because when I was in my early days of messing around with like click and play and stuff, there was South Park Arcade, a fan game. Well, it was South Park Arcade 3 specifically that basically made its own beat 'em up in click and play with South Park characters. It was actually really amusing, although. I mean, it played pretty well, you know, considering the fact that it was still a stupid click-and-play game with its stupid faults. But 3 was really interesting specifically because not only did it actually look like an actual arcade game with South Park characters in it, it let you actually pick different characters. Because the first 2 you only play as, like, Cartman, and you fought, like, Stan clones or whatever. I don't remember how many continues I have left, but I'm probably just going to hit start on controller 2 here, and just play that way, until I figure out whether or not I've run out of lives. Like this. name is AAA. Okay, they do have shared continues. Let's go back to Axel. This is a goofy tactic I picked up on that doesn't work here, but in Sunset Riders for the Super Nintendo, you had a limited amount of continues, but continues were not shared between players. So if you ran out of continues for one player, you could just start with the other one and just finish the game that way. And I would always have just enough continue to, just enough continues to be able to get to the end of the game pretty easily. By the way, anybody who's wanting like a modern beat 'em up to play with a huge twist would probably be Action Doom 2, which is a Doom mod, but it's its own application and free to download and play for anybody, and you don't even need Doom to play it, since Z-Doom is kind of open source and you can just do whatever you want with it. Oh god, oh god. But what's kind of funny is that it has all these references to other beat-em-ups, like including like the elevator sequence near the end of the game and whatnot. It's a lot of fun to play, albeit kind of hard, especially on like harder difficulty settings. Oh god. Has nice artwork, like all the sprites and all the textures and everything are original. Yeah, there's also Double Dragon Neon, but that's a fake name of brought up. I haven't played it, but I hear mixed things about it. Like, it's really funny, but if you want to get like a regular Double Dragon game, you're probably going to be disappointed because it just doesn't take itself seriously. But the 80s aesthetic is really nice. Especially the music. Ugh! Damn you! You're making me lose my continue. You asshole. Fuck. I think this is it. And of course, since this is on the Genesis collection, you know, there's no cheating. I'm not using Kick Fusions. No Game Genie codes are gonna get us to the end. Oh, come on. Yeah, this is it. I'm not gonna be able to get past this. I already know it. Out. Wait! Oh, wait! Ho ho! I was right. Continues are not shared between players. So we're in luck. I may be able to get to the end. Ah! Go away. What are they doing? Trading handshakes? Just quit losing. We're gonna do this again, aren't we? Look, I don't want to lose, alright? I know they got more stupid, annoying bosses coming in this elevator, I just know it. Because what else are you gonna extend your content with on a Sega Genesis cartridge of like 1 megabyte? Sorry guys, this is kind of boring, but I really want to win this game. And I don't know if he's gonna do his stupid thing. Oh. Oh, look at him, he's sleeping. Look at him. Oh. Ah, come on. Shiva. Oh, he landed. I heard him. Oh. There's probably better ways to kind of cheese through this game. Ah! Stop it. I wasn't paying attention. Probably better ways to cheese through this game than what I'm doing. He laughs. That's pretty good. Oh, as Corey points out, you would normally see him with a cigar in his mouth. Ah! Stop it! I'm so close. Maybe I haven't beaten this game before. It's really been a long time. Alright. Oh. I don't know where he's aiming at, but it ain't me. Ah! Alright, here goes. This make or break. Oh. Ah, come on! Get off. Hmm. I know this isn't the last form either, so let's see how this goes. Or is it? Aw, you can't even see him off screen. Oh, it is the end. Well, I'll be... Whew! At least that's the first time I actually beat this game live. That's something. Shout DW. And there's Adam from the first game. And not because we couldn't use his palette colors on this game. Just kidding. Ah, Ancient. Ancient is the team that worked on Beyond Oasis, so they probably have some pretty strong ties with the, well, Ancient probably had some pretty strong ties with Sega. I guess that's the one thing that you kind of notice when, you play like an old Japanese game. At least even these days, they're very protective about like who works for them and what you know, what teams they work with and whatnot. Like even these days, they're still very protective about their trade secrets, so they don't. You still have these insane credits like this. One, two, three. I'm here 3 times, except for this guy named AAA. Where the hell that is. But yeah, it's really surprising that just surprising, like the amount of times that people have consistently tried to bring back Streets of Rage. And that includes like a version on Sega Saturn, which turned out to be Fighting Force on PlayStation and Nintendo 64. And of course, there was like that more recent one that was probably going to be like a download-only title. Oh, I'm trying to find the best game on here.